Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host, Amy Long.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We have a really fun show. We are going to explore a little bit more in depth some of the westernmost coastal towns in Portugal. Some of these we visited a couple of years ago, and we had so much fun on our trip. And you may remember, early episode of ours, we talked about and gave a Portugal itinerary, one that we followed. We rented a car, drove through the country, and hit some of these coastal towns. And it's one of these trips that has really kind of stayed with me.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I think it was one of the first trips that I looked around and was like, should we move here? And I really meant it.
I think it's the first time we really explored. I mean, we had traveled before then, but I think it's the first time we decided we're going to get out and we're going to go really see some things. I mean, we had kind of done it when we went to Paris before that, but this was the first time we rented a car and we're like, we are driving across the country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got our international driver's license and everything. Like, we prepared the best we possibly could and, had some fun. We started out in Lisbon, actually outside of Lisbon, a little south of Sintra at Penhalunga, which is a Ritz-Carlton resort. We were there living it up, living that dream on a beautiful resort right there. But we decided, hey, let's rent a car. Let's head up the coast and see what we can see. So we decided let's go as far north as we're going to go on this trip and then work our way back down. Mm-hmm. So naturally, we hit the road and drove up to Porto.
Right. And I don't know if you recall, but like it usually does on our vacations, it rained that entire day. We did not get away from the rain. It was raining the day before. It rained that whole day. It rained the next day.
And if you've ever rented a car and driven in a foreign country almost entirely in the rain, it's an experience.
And not just a little rain, very heavy rain.
That was that big European angry rain. But, it did clear up from time to time to give us enough leeway to have some walking adventures. We got to walk around some cities. It actually was kind of weird because it would open up during the daytime, give us plenty, or at least enough sunshine to walk around and have a good time and everything. And then as soon as the evening would come, it would start pouring again.
Right.
And so we didn't really get to go out at night. There's a common theme that connects all of these beautiful Portuguese coastal towns, and that's the beaches.
Right, yes.
The beaches are just phenomenal. And I don't know if it has to do with the tides and where they are and they sit and everything like that, but or just maybe, and I've never looked into this, I don't know, Portugal has they keep their beaches very clean, very tidy.
Right, yes.
And so like those beaches, and they have some of the best surfing in the world. I know they have almost year-round surfing competitions.
Oh, really?
And it's a big stop for some of these bigger surf, like worldwide championships. So the surfing is phenomenal as well. But we went to Porto and we kind of walked around. That's probably one of the first stops most people make. You got Lisbon or Lisboa, and then you have Porto. So we stayed at the Sheraton Porto, and the Sheraton Porto is listed as a 5-star hotel. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm being negative here. It was the first 5-star hotel that I did not think was a 5-star hotel.
I didn't know it was rated as a 5. I think at most it's a 4, but in its defense, we had just left a Ritz-Carlton
maybe so. Maybe
outside of Lisbon and gone here, and it was two very different experiences.
Yeah.
Too. But yeah, I would not call that Sheraton in Porto a luxury hotel.
The good thing about it is that a lot of it is located. I mean, most tourists are kind of going to be that downtown area. There is Uber, there are taxis to grab and things like that. And so like getting around the city, was just a few bucks at a time if you wanted to take Uber or anything like that. So it is, but it also is very walkable. But it's that old European, like very small streets,
Right.
very fast drivers.
Which I was going to say, we had a rental car. We did not feel comfortable driving.
Yeah, I did not. We circled the block, what, 4 times?
4 times just to try to get to the hotel because we kept missing the entrance. It is these old little streets, and the entrance, you kind of have to just...
You go up on the curb.
Yeah, you go up on the curb, and we're not accustomed to that. So we kind of had to work ourselves up to pulling over onto a curb.
I remember the doorman was just kind of like,
What are these? They're American. What are they doing?
He didn't even attempt Portuguese, but he was like, "Hello, sir." It's like, you got to not be from here.
It was a really cool hotel, though. It had a great restaurant in it that we ate at.
It's the Porto Nova.
Yeah, and you had octopus, I believe. Yeah,
my first time.
And I can't remember what dessert I got, but it was so good that remember the manager came over and was just checking on us, and I asked him what they put in the dessert. I was like, it's some type of chocolate cake, but I'm like, this is the best chocolate cake I've ever had. I'm like, what's the secret ingredient? And he's like, it's just vanilla.
Yeah, he's like, okay. I'm sorry, it's not an Oreo cookie, madam. But Porto is one of Portugal's oldest cities. It's a blend of like Gothic and Romanesque architecture, and there are various districts, especially like the Ribeira district, and I probably messed that up, but it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That's the colorful homes and the narrow streets and, the riverside cafes that you see people pouring over. And now most people would probably go, it's a little bit touristy, but there's a reason. If there's a lot of people there, it's because it's a really nice area to walk around and check out. We did walk most of the way. I know we went under, but we walked most of the way over the Luis Bridge, which is an iconic double-deck iron bridge, and it's probably the one you see if you see pictures of the city. We stopped by Porto Cathedral. We did walk in. We didn't have time to really explore it too much, but we poked our head in a little bit to check it out. It's gorgeous. I got some gorgeous shots of it. And then there was like the tower. Sidros Tower.
Oh, right. See,
that's the one with 225 steps. We did not do
We saw it. We didn't walk the steps.
When the person at the bottom was like, it's 225 steps to the top. You and I kind of looked at each other like, yeah.
Well, and saying that, we were only in Porto for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
We showed up we got there in the evening, and it had just kind of stopped raining for our drive. We had dinner, we went and saw a few things, and then we woke up the next day and spent about half the day there before we got back on the road. So we had very limited time. I would suggest if you were going to Porto for the first time, give yourself a few days to explore the city because there is so much to see, so much to do. And we ended up just walking around for a couple of hours, almost letting ourselves get a little bit lost and just seeing what we could find. And, I wish we would have been able to do more of that.
Yeah, Clarigos Tower is obviously it sticks out from the city. If you're looking at the skyline, it's a major part of it. But just walking the streets, that's what I loved most about Porto. I mean, we took the gondola. There's a gondola that goes over the Douro River, takes you to the other side of the banks and everything. And I really loved all that. But the memory I take with me about Porto is walking around. Walking along the river, walking the narrow streets, walking the alleyways.
Right.
And just how nice the people were.
I have so many pictures of random alleys and beautiful doors in these old buildings. I love architecture.
I was just looking at some of our pictures. I have pictures of pigeons. I don't know why.
You did. Yes, I remember you taking those.
It was fun. It's a gorgeous city, and it's a great way. Lisbon has its draws. But if you're looking at coastal cities, I think you should start with Porto and then work your way out from there. It's a good base to kind of jump off from. So we're talking Western coastal cities in Portugal. We're going to have more. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hi.
We're talking about beautiful western coastal towns in Portugal. Kind of started up north, working our way down, starting in Porto, giving some beautiful, it's a beautiful place to start and begin your journey if you're exploring that western coast. And it's kind of an upfront warning, like there's so many.
Right.
There's so many beautiful cities along the coast that you can't go wrong.
So many historic things to see, and we were looking for castles. Just driving down the road, you would see a road sign and it would say castle and an arrow, and you're just like,
Castle
okay, there's a castle that way, and you go a little bit farther, castle off the next exit. So lots of history.
So that got our attention as we started our way south, and we hit a couple of towns, drove through a few places that we'll get to eventually a little bit later. But the one talking about castles, one of our favorite ones, and you had a lot of fun here.
I did.
Is Óbidos.
Oh, right. I loved this town.
Now, Óbidos is not directly on the coast, so I fudged this one just a little bit, but it is within a very close proximity to several stunning, like gorgeous beaches and beach areas. And of course, we're going to talk about Praia D'el Rey and Peniche in just a little bit. But before we get there, if you're there along the way and you want to check out some of this medieval atmosphere, this is the town, I think, that doesn't take you too far out of the way if you're going along the coast to really check it out.
Right. So we happened to be in Portugal for my job, and I had met up with a Portuguese colleague, and he's like, oh, there's this great little town you have to go to. And he mentioned Óbidos, but you had already discovered it and had it on our itinerary for the next day. And he was impressed because he's like, usually tourists don't generally go to this town. So he thought we did our homework, but it was definitely worth the drive to this little town. I will say, you drive into the town and then you have to go up a hill to get to like the old medieval part where there's like the tall wall around it. Mm-hmm. And we started seeing cars parked on the side of the road as we're driving up. So we immediately thought, oh, there's no parking up there. So we parked on the side of the hill and hiked up the road, I don't know, half a mile maybe, only to discover almost an empty parking lot at the top.
There was a whole parking lot up there. But you know what? We worked off lunch. That's how I look at it, or that's what I want to believe about it. But Óbidos is a really well-preserved medieval town. It's sometimes referred to as the wedding present town because it was gifted to Queen Isabella of Portugal in the 13th century. And this is when it had been done, redone and kind of built up again. It has a longer history than that. I think it goes back into the maybe 11th century. Now, it's been there for a very, very long time. But the whole town itself kind of has, it could have modernized a little bit more, maybe so. But it's kind of preserved that historical aspect of it. And it's gorgeous. It is a well-preserved castle, like a true castle with town gates and medieval walls. They even have a old historical trebuchet or something like that out there. So if someone approaches from the south end, you could start firing rocks upon them or something.
It looks like something from a fairy tale.
It really does.
Yes.
And so while I was getting lost, we got separated at some point because I just started climbing walls. You went out and kind of went into the actual town a little bit and started walking around. What'd you find out there?
I mean, there were a lot of little shops, and there were tourist shops out there, but it was a lot of little shops. They do very much play into the medieval thing, so you could buy kind of some costumes there. They put on, it looked like some reenactments of things, but these were people's actual homes. This is a place where people do still live, and so there would be people driving up through the parking lot and going into what seemed like very tiny roads people should not be driving on and going to their houses. And so I just ended up walking these little streets and taking pictures of some of these beautiful old buildings because they have the the blue and white tile work on some of these buildings. So it's just stunning.
Yeah, the
to see
famous Portuguese tile work.
Yes.
And it's just absolutely fantastic. And they do have a number of like festivals in the area. They have a medieval festival that happens every summer that they really lean into. There's also a different chocolate festival. And so no matter when you go, if you do just a little bit of research ahead of time, you know, as you're exploring the western side of the country, you can find some fun things to do. And it is close enough, like I said, to a number of the beaches. Places like Bom Sucesso. It's a really beautiful, some might describe it as tranquil beach. That's a really short drive away from the city. It's near the Obidos Lagoon. They have kayaking, picnicking, all of that kind of stuff around there. And we did notice, you know, we drove and we had to climb a hill. But there was a train.
There was a train.
There was a train that came from Lisbon. And of course, it went all up the coast. It went to Porto and everything. We would later find out. So if you don't want to drive like we did, just research a little bit on the train, and they have a pass. It'll drop you off right in Obidos. And I was like, dang, we should have taken a train.
I know.
Because it looked like it cut through the country, and that's probably a really gorgeous train ride.
Absolutely. We had this thought that we were going to be explorers and rent a car and drive across the country, which we did, and it was fun. But a train would have been a bit more of an entertaining ride across the country, because when you're driving and it's raining, you're kind of focused on staying safe and not looking at the beautiful scenery around you.
If you are kind of a history nerd like me, like I said, I kind of ventured off and started climbing walls, and that's not because I was taking advantage of anything. You can actually climb the stairs and walk the walls of the medieval castle there and kind of feel like, you know, if you were an archer back in the day, or you're a sentry looking out over, and you can only imagine what it was like back then before the farms had kind of set in around in the city and everything else. It was really fun to stand up there and just kind of look out, because you could see the coast,
right?
And you could see for miles in every direction. So it was an incredibly well fortified and genius spot to put a medieval castle, by the way.
And there was that beautiful church over there too.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called, but it was a gorgeous church that was outside of the main.
Yeah, we heard the bells going off.
We heard the bells going off, and you kind of, I think that's when you were still on the wall, and you saw me walking, and you kind of waved me up there, and I walked up and met you there, and we were looking down on this gorgeous church, sort of out in a valley.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
lovely.
no, I wasn't trying to like, hey, look at this beautiful church. I heard the bells and thought we were under attack. I was like, get to your place, Amy. And you just ignored me. You're like, look at that. But it's a wonderful town. If you have, I mean, just 2 hours is probably enough for people just passing through. Stop by one of the shops. They had traditional pastries that they were marketing. I know it was a flaky puff pastry, and it had an almond filling. I can't quite remember what it was called. I did a little research, and I think it was just...
Don't even try it.
Oops. Okay, just do your homework, and you can find it, because I'm going to butcher that. But
Portugal is also known for some of their pastries, too. So everywhere we went, we would get these little bitty, almost like custard-filled tarts.
Yeah.
They were very good.
They were extremely good. I didn't want to leave. But you know what? You pointed to a map and said, hey, we got more to see. You need to come on. So I fired a shot from the catapult, and we went down the road a little bit. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with Amy.
Hi.
We are talking about the beautiful coastal towns of Portugal. I really wish we had like 18 hours to talk about them, because we could, and I would continue to look up a visa to go to Portugal.
You loved Portugal.
I love it so much, man. I still do.
You would have moved there immediately if I would have agreed.
Or if you would have ate some bad shellfish or something. And
I don't like that joke. Let's just put that out there. I don't like that joke, but we will move on.
a short time after that, actually, I would have a press trip to the island of Madeira, which is a Portuguese island, which I also was immediately like, yes.
You
I will
talk
move here.
about Madeira at least once a week.
Oh my gosh.
At least once a week.
It's so lovely.
I am still jealous that I didn't get to go with you.
Yeah. I know.
And we're not even talking about Madeira in this episode.
I know. And I know. It's wonderful. And I miss it. I miss the grass and the hills. Anyway, so we're talking about some coastal towns on mainland Portugal. Because, I mean, we could just do a whole thing on Madeira. I could, anyway, just wax poetically about
Yeah,
it.
because I wasn't there.
So just south of Porto, you making your way down there, you'll find the town of Aveiro. Aveiro, however you want to say it. It's often called the Venice of Portugal, and with incredible reason, because it has a bunch of waterways, a network of canals, and you use little boats.
They don't call them gondolas.
No, they don't call them gondolas.
I think they just call them boats, but it's basically the same premise where there is they don't call them gondoliers, but somebody who is steering the boats, and you take your little ride down the canal system. But the thing about this town is the streets are lined, or the canal is lined with these gorgeous buildings, old buildings, and like an Art Nouveau type style, and they're colorful, and it's just a really interesting and like fun activity.
Yeah. And kind of unique to this is that it's not on the coast per se. It is on the lagoon, the Aveiro Lagoon. And these boats, I think they're called barcos malaceros. I probably butchered that. But these colorful boats, they used to harvest seaweed with these boats for, I don't know, whatever you do things with seaweed.
You eat it.
Do you? Like,
It's
I mean,
in
not
sushi.
sushi, but like beyond that.
Seaweed salads?
I've
Yeah.
had
Dried
seaweed candy
seaweed? Yeah.
before. Yeah.
People eat seaweed.
That was horrible. I think my mother brought me back something like that. That was a joke on me. But this is an absolutely gorgeous town. And I know you're a little sad that we didn't get to spend.
Yeah, we drove through the town. We didn't really
Yeah.
get to spend time in there because we were on a bit of a tight schedule getting from Porto down we had a few places to stop each night to make our way back to Lisbon. And so we were driving down the main highway, and we kept seeing signs for a lot of these beautiful little beach towns and seeing tons of people turn off. So we decided we were going to follow them, and we ended up driving through this town, and it was so cute. And I remember telling you we should stay here, and you were like, well, we already have reservations somewhere else and we have to keep driving. So we did not get out and really explore this town, but it is on my list for when we go back.
If you are a photographer, or, you like to take pictures for your Instagram or anything like that, again, the beaches there are pretty nice, right? So the Costa Nova beach is pretty famous for its colorful striped beach houses. So you're going to get a lot of, think of South Beach in Miami with the lifeguard towers, but you have beach houses that are all bright and colorful and striped and all of that, which make for really wonderful pictures. And of course, windsurfing and just walks along the coast with your betrothed is also really nice. And the Sal Jacinto Nature Reserve is there. So if you like nature, like some of those people, I don't know, some people like nature, but you're also going to find, again, a lot of seafood, lots of seafood being right there on the coast. You're going to have the freshest of fresh seafood. They also have a meal, and you're lucky I didn't introduce you to this, but an eel stew.
Oh, yeah.
Which is considered a local delicacy.
I'm going to have to say no to that one.
No, come on. If I wouldn't tell you what was in it,
I would be mad if you made me eat it and then later told me what was in it.
Well, then I could just move to Portugal, because like you would probably, if you didn't kill me, or if I survived whatever attack that you did, I could probably just move to Portugal.
I mean, maybe, but
and have all the eel
do you
stew.
really want to live without me?
Well, there, the museums and the vistas and the cathedral. They have a giant cathedral. What?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Cathedrals and more castles. Like,
I
they
thought
are
we were going
everywhere.
back to something. I was like, no. We're going to have a domestic on here. Somebody called a popo. But the cathedral, the Aveiro Cathedral, is it's also known as the Church of Saint Dominic. It's a 15th century cathedral, and it has, Gothic architecture, and it's just gorgeous, man. But they also offer boat tours, hiking and biking, bird watching in that nature preserve are some of the wonderful things you can do around there. If you head down just a little bit, if you don't have time to go to Aveiro, at least stop by Figueira da Foz.
Right.
And I don't think it's called Figueroa. I think that's just how I'm pronouncing it.
That's how I was saying it.
Figueira da Foz? Oh, man, I'm so bad at that.
That's the Americanized version.
I'm so bad at traveling. I really am. But it is another incredible beach resort that people just flock to. I think the people in Portugal know about it. I think they've done a really good job of like keeping it on the down low so it doesn't get too overrun by tourists.
Right.
But it's one of these places that, again, we were driving down the highway and we just saw tons of people turning off, and we were like, we wonder what's down here, Everyone seems to be going that way.
And it was an adorable beach town.
Beautiful beach town. And that seems to be a common theme here in Portugal. They have nothing but beautiful beach towns. So stay with us. When we come back, we're going to have more. Right? Yeah, of course we are. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long. You can always check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com. All of our past episodes and wonderful interviews are right there on our website, or you can check us out on YouTube, Instagram. I have some feet pictures on Feet Finder. It's a subscription service. I'm here with my co-host, Amy Long.
You might want to look at my feet, but not his.
Hey, man, whatever brings the money in. We're talking about coastal towns in Portugal to go visit. And I just got sidetracked with that. We were just mentioning Aveiro and talking about going down to a place that I'm calling Figueroa, but it's not that. It's Figueira or something, da Foz. Whatever you want to call it, it's one of Portugal's premier beach resort towns.
Right.
This is a family-friendly place. If you have kids and you want an area that's going to entertain them and still keep you and the couple or the group happy, this is the place you go to, or should be one of the first places you check out. But they have expansive beaches. They have it's quickly became, over the last few decades, probably one of the top places, if not the top coastal destinations in Portugal.
Right. I mean, if you just look where it's at on the map, I mean, it's right there, kind of in the middle of the western coast of the country. So you have a lot of beach to choose from. They also have a river that runs through the city. So you also have that waterway. Mm-hmm. Just a lot. If water is what you're going for, this is one of the best places to go. On top of that, they just have a lot of other stuff to do. Yeah. It has become a little bit touristy, but not so touristy that I think you feel like you're in a tourist destination.
Yeah. The most famous of those destinations is probably Claridad Beach. That is the main one. It has beautiful sand. You just pick a spot and there you go. It has really calm waters along there. So if you have smaller kids, you don't have to worry as much. But plenty of space. But understand that if you're not looking to be around, there are some people that don't want to travel around families. I understand that completely. Just be forewarned. But there's plenty, like anywhere else on the coast of Portugal, lots of surfing, windsurfing, and things to do in that nature. And it is very much a resort town.
Right.
So if you're looking for more of a quiet experience, this may not be the spot for you, but it is a great spot if you are looking to do, exactly that.
Well,
So,
living in Las Vegas, I thought this next bit was very interesting, but they have a casino there, and it is like the
Really?
oldest casino in Portugal.
oh,
It's
what?
Yeah, it's Casino Figueira.
Okay.
Whatever the name of the town is that we don't know how to say. That's the name of the casino. But it says Portugal, one of Portugal's oldest casinos, and it's a landmark of the town. So, I think being in Vegas, we are always just a little bit drawn to places that have casinos.
I think it's a curiosity to just compare.
Right.
I always want to compare places and walk in and be like, oh, this is not the Cosmo, or, oh, this at the Wynn would be nothing, or whatever. It's a little snobbish, I think, on my part. But it is fun to see. And I've walked into several casinos in foreign countries, and even just states in the United States, and been like,
Yeah.
this is different. This is not what I'm used to. But that's the whole point of it, right? Also, when you get in there, I mean, just like anywhere else in Portugal, you're going to have tons of history and culture. If that's the point of your trip, to really dive into it. They have the Santa Catarina Fort, which is, it's located at the mouth of the Mondego River. So you have beautiful views of the Atlantic Ocean, the harbor, everything like that. The Sotomayor Palace. It's an 18th century mansion. So it's a palace. It's a mansion, not a fort. Not a castle like I love. But also, I mean, you mentioned the casino. I mean, really, beyond that, you're going to be on the beach or you're stuffing your face. They do have festivals, different times of the year. Mainly in June, they have the Cidadad Festival, which is parades, concerts, fireworks. The whole city really kind of gets behind it and everything. And then the Sardina Festival, which that is usually held in August. Sometimes they move it around, though, where you have sardines. Sardines are cooked over open flames. You listen to live music. They have festivities, but it's all about celebrating sardines, which goes back to the roots of this city, where they used to, well, I think they still do on some level, catch and harvest sardines for pepperoni. I mean, for pepperoni, for pizza. That was going to be a joke, and then it turned into that.
So it's like the little town in that Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movie where they have a sardine factory.
What?
That's what they all eat, because they have a sardine factory, and that's why the guy ends up making the machine that creates other food, because he's tired of eating sardines.
Is that the plot of the
Yes,
movie? Okay.
yeah.
That's the catalyst of the movie. I don't think I've ever seen that movie all the way through. I think I've seen it.
I'm sure you have.
I think I've seen it in the same spot through. And it used to be, I think, our daughter's like one of her favorite movies, and I'd never seen the beginning of it, so I didn't even know that.
Yes, that's the beginning of it.
They also have the extremely lively Carnival de Figueira da Foz, which is usually in around February. Incredible parades, like elaborate costumes, tons of street parties.
This I want to see.
This is, I mean, if you can't go to Carnival,
Right.
I mean, I'm not comparing the two, obviously, but if you can't go to Carnival, then go to Carnival. If you get
Go
my
to
drift.
the other one.
If parties and street parties and sardines aren't your thing, as usual, outdoor activities, hiking, nature walks. There's a bay. It's a quiet little beach area. But the rock formations and the cliffs, again, just thank you, millions of years of erosion, for giving us these wonderful, beautiful cliffs, perfect for photography, perfect for nature walks, and really just that area where you can just kind of go and chill for a weekend and really get to kind of dive into the local scene, because it's not over commercialized. I mean, it is a tourist area, but it's not like Americanized tourist area, which is wonderful, which is perfect and what you want.
And as you said, there is a lot of surfing over there. So if you don't go to the more family beach, there are other beaches that are better for surfing. It's a little less crowded. One of them is the Praia del Cabedelo, which is known for surfing and like windsurfing and kiteboarding.
There you go. Keep it right here. It's an Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Remember, for all of our past episodes and interviews, you can find us at unscaledtravelshow.com. And we got some fantastic stuff. And if you want to hear about our Portuguese itinerary that we kind of followed on this trip, it's episode 15 of our show. If you want to go way back during season 1 of our show. So you can check it out there. From Obidos and some of these other areas in the beautiful more northern part of Portugal, we then found our way over to the gorgeous Praia D'el Rey area, which Praia D'el Rey is golden dunes, pristine water, and golf.
Right.
That is kind of what it is. And it is, you know, it's a one trick thing, but when you have a really good, really good trick, that sounds weird. That's probably not the way it sounded better in my head. But they do have the Praia D'el Rey Marriott Golf and Beach Resort, which is another 5-star place to go to. Very famous for its golf. Very popular golf outing for those in Europe or those who love to travel around the world and play really well maintained and golf resorts.
Yeah, it was
golf courses. I mean.
It was a lovely golf resort. We neither of us are big golfers, but we do kind of love that atmosphere of these golf courses that are on the water. So we decided, hey, we're going to drive out there for the day, check it out. It actually sits right on the beach, and they have these old wooden staircases that take you down to the water, and you got some of the most beautiful photos that we ended up having printed and are framed in our house from the sunset at the beach there.
Yeah. If you check it out on like Google Maps or anything like that, you'll see the Pico de Antenna, which is like these beautiful golden cliffs. Mm-hmm. They're not super, super high, but they're high enough that you want to stay, be safe or whatever around them. But they do have staircases that go down to the beaches that, of course, are beautifully well maintained and probably one of the top sunsets I have ever seen in my entire life.
Absolutely. It was gorgeous.
Yeah. The restaurants inside the resort were delicious.
Top tier.
Top
Absolutely.
tier. What you would expect. So any disappointment I did have in Porto was washed away here. And I wish it's one of those towns and golf courses I wish I had more time.
Right.
And when we go back, I would love to spend a couple of more days in this area and really get to experience the golf course. Is something that now, as I'm in middle age, I appreciate more and want to experience more. But that didn't stop us. We had a little adventure going to our next town the following morning. We only had the one night there, but the next town over is called Peniche.
Yes, and I don't even remember why exactly.
Oh, I know why.
Because I wanted coffee, right?
You wanted coffee. And the hotel had coffee, but we had to get on the road. And so we were like, let's go to another coffee place. Well, thankfully, it's not like the U.S. where there's a Starbucks on every corner. Mm-hmm. You have to go out and venture out and find a coffee place. And the closest one to us was Peniche, which looked on Google Maps, I think at the time, like a very short drive.
It looked very close, very close. And you could either drive kind of inland and then get on the main road and go back, or you could drive through some of the little coastal towns and neighborhoods right there near the water, and just it seemed like a shortcut. What we found were some of these roads may not have actually been roads. It was like driving through fields in a couple of places.
It reminds me of our Tivoli adventure. Well, I think we were driving through someone's alleyway or something, but it's a lot of farmland
Yes.
out there. Some of the roads were just dirt.
Right.
And we were in a little bitty car, a little compact car. But eventually we made our way over to Peniche, and we had a really fun few hours there. Now, Peniche is another one of these beautiful coastal towns that is known for its surfing. It's one of Europe's top surfing destinations, believe it or not. As we drove in, we saw several surf shops. They have the Super Tubos Beach, which is almost legendary. I don't want to say quite legendary, but it is pretty legendary, and sometimes hosts the World Surf League's competitions.
Really?
They're right off the coast. So it's probably really well known to people who are in that world. And they have, again, just amazing beaches around there and some really fun stops as far as like food and everything, including one of yours, to this day, one of your favorite places that we've stopped in.
The place I found on the map to get coffee, and I didn't even know what it was called. It just popped up when I typed coffee into my navigation. It sent us to this place, and the name of it ended up being Cafeteria Puro Cake Lab. It's kind of an odd name for a coffee shop and bakery, but the cutest little place we've ever been. If I could open my own coffee shop and bakery, this is what it would look like. Aww. I loved it.
You did. You really did. The only problem at the time, maybe their machines were down or something. We had to go find an ATM, which are not, again, not on every corner like here in the U.S., which you're thankful for. But I had to go run the streets a little bit.
Because they were only taking cash.
Yeah, we're only taking cash. And we did not have any. So in these smaller towns, a lot of one-way driving. If you're not used to it, you can't get turned around.
We did have to park a bit of a ways down the road to walk.
And maybe illegally. We might have illegally parked.
Maybe.
But I recommend, it was closed at the time, but the Fort of Peniche is still this beautifully well-maintained old fort. It's a seaside fortress. And I think in the 20th century, it was a prison. And now it's like a museum. So the fortress itself was built in the 16th century. So lots of history there. Also, and this is where the water was coming in, where they had to hold in. There was a tide coming in there. Beautiful pictures, a great spot to grab some really, really neat photos.
It was gorgeous. I'm looking at the picture right now of you standing out there close to the water as the tide's coming in.
Yeah, I was so happy. And they also have, if you have time to make your way around the little peninsula that Peniche sits on, they have a couple of gorgeous lighthouses that you can go check out. Old world style, very beautiful. Another one, I mean, that whole area, I wish I had another 48 hours to just go check out.
Knowing now how beautiful that little town was and how much it offered, I wish we would have stayed there and had a whole nother day just to wander around and see it.
Yeah. Made me sad when we had to leave, but we were on a very tight time deadline.
I think we tried to pack too much stuff.
We did. We tried to see too much.
Which it was fun. We had a blast.
Yeah, this is where we learned one of our primary travel lessons, which is don't try to see everything because unless you're going to be there for an extended period of time and you only have like a couple of days, you're not going to see everything.
Right.
So don't try. So maybe pick a couple of things and really get to explore them, or a couple of towns and really get to explore them. Otherwise, you're going to feel like all you did was run around the entire time.
Drive from one town to another.
Which is what we did. Yeah, no, I learned that lesson very early on. And so now we take our time and make our way to the places that we want to a little bit. But looking forward, I mean, when we kind of look back, I mean, so far in that looking around there, like what was your favorite part sitting in those towns? I mean, was it really, because we did a lot of people watching as well.
We did do a lot of people watching. The thing that's different, you mentioned, they don't have a lot of, they don't have to-go coffee. It's just a different kind of laid back. You sit, you have your coffee, you enjoy it at a table across from someone. It was more of an experience than I'm going to grab my coffee and walk around. And I really liked being able to just kind of be part of their culture in that way.
Yeah. It was fun to just relax, and it really teaches you a lot, especially I think Portugal was one of our first trips out. So it really taught us a lot, these little seaside towns. So we have some more adventures to share with you. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in our Diamondback Land Surveying studios. Check us out online, our brand new YouTube channel, Unscaled Travel Show. You'll find us right there. Or all of our past episodes and interviews, unscaledtravelshow.com. We really appreciate lots of people are starting to subscribe on Spotify and Apple, where we usually load up our episodes after they air. And so I really appreciate you guys sharing the show. Leave us a 5-star review. It really helps. So helps with those syndication services. We are talking about Western coastal towns, or just coastal towns in Portugal in general. We have mentioned Porto and Óbidos and Praia D'el Rey and Peniche and so many places. And there are so many that we're not going to be able to get to, like Santa Cruz and Ribamar and some of these that we passed through, we drove through, and we just don't have time to get to all of them. But any of these are good stops. But we did do something really fun. One day we were able to rent an old car,
A classic car. Yeah.
with a driver, and have that driver take us along the coast a little bit to a really special spot in Portugal.
Right. So he picked us up at our hotel. This is after we've been to Peniche and we've gone back into the Lisbon area. He picked us up and he drove us out to Cabo da Roca, which is the westernmost point of the continental Europe. Right. So it is as far west as you can get in Europe without getting on an island. And it has the most beautiful little lighthouse on it. There's this gorgeous, like, kind of seawall that everybody's there taking pictures. It was so lovely. And, you know, our guide offered to take pictures of us. And he's like, look, if you look far enough, you can see the U.S. over there, because he knew we were American. So he kind of just made it fun for us. But it was a really neat thing to be at this point that, you know, I had no idea that it was the westernmost point of Europe.
Yeah.
So that was really neat. And then we got back in the car and he drove us down the coast to another little town that we had heard a lot about called Cascais.
Cascais, yeah. Cascais is, well, that's where royalty goes to, I guess, in that area.
Right.
It was years ago, it was just a little bitty fishing village. And now it's one of the most prestigious coastal towns in Portugal. He drove us by and pointed out, like, this is Cristiano Ronaldo's house. If you follow soccer or football, sorry, you know, and one of his many houses there in Portugal.
He said it's common for their president to be seen at the beach.
Yeah, just
there.
chilling,
just
on the
like
beach.
on the weekends.
No Secret Service,
Yeah.
no nothing. People ain't gonna bother you if they're at the beach. That's what's different. They're at the beach, man. They ain't trying to do anything like that. But in that area, you try not to harp on it, but they have so many incredible beaches. You could just throw a rock, hit some sand, and just put down a blanket. There you go. That's your day, baby. You know, and it's really fun to just another one of these towns that really you can park and walk.
Yeah.
And see it all. And I think they had bicycles for rent and things like that.
Yeah, they did. We ended up going over to the marina and kind of walking around that area. I mean, and he was pointing out so many different things. And that was very helpful to us to have a guide who was so familiar with the area and could tell us like little bits of history, which you love, and, you know, point out things that, hey, when you have time, go check this out, go look at that. So I think if you have the opportunity to hire a guide, check it out. Like, try to do it, because you're going to get a little bit more out of that trip.
Right. And when you have a town like Cascais, which has its roots in fishing, you know that if you are in the mood for some seafood, they have restaurants everywhere that can meet that need. You know, they have like Mar do Inferno. They have a place called Hemingway. I wonder who that's for. But it's like upscale dining, has Portuguese cuisine and everything. But so many of those restaurants that really you just go and relax at, shopping, markets, different festivals. They have a jazz festival. I hear, and we didn't get to, of course we weren't there for this, but I heard they have a beautiful Christmas village
Really?
in that city that people are starting to find out about outside of that area and really starting to flock to.
Yeah,
So,
it sounds like something we need to go to.
yeah, see? And again, the surfing. If you surf or if you golf, another wonderful area to just, ply your trade,
Yeah.
ply your craft in those areas.
Well, so it's only a 30-minute train ride from Lisbon. So
Yeah.
my coworkers who lived in Lisbon did say, like, this is where they all go on the weekends to go to the beach. They're like, this is kind of our hometown beach to go to. They have beaches in Lisbon, but they're like, these are the nicer beaches. So, like, if this is where the locals go, this is where you want to go.
Absolutely. Always go where the locals go. And of course, there are, if you look at the shape of Portugal, if you go further down, there are tons of cities. If you cross the bridge into the other peninsulas and little juts of Portugal, you're going to find so many other small villages like Santana and some other places along these routes that you can go and just check out. And it's golf and surfing and beaches and seafood and all of those things. It's like this little slice of heaven if you love those kind of things.
You loved Portugal so much, and you do this frequently when we travel. You say, "Oh, we should move here," but
I am one of those people.
But you
Oh,
loved
my
it
God.
so much that you actually, while we were in Porto, started looking up what it would take for us to move there.
Yeah.
And talked about it daily for months after we came home. It still comes up occasionally, what it would take for us to move to Portugal.
And Portugal has they did up to a certain point have a golden visa, which you could invest into a certain amount, property or whatever, and eventually earn your citizenship to Portugal and then entry into like the European Union and stuff like that for Americans and whoever outside of Portugal. But they go back and forth. I think they monitor it very well, like how tight the restrictions are and things. But they also open up digital nomad visas as well. So if you travel for work or you just like to stay remote working and things like that, you can set up shop in Portugal and really have a nice life, man.
Right.
It's westernized enough where I think most Americans would feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It is not so Western that, again, there's a Starbucks on every corner,
Right.
or I don't think I even saw
only Starbucks,
McDonald's and stuff like that
yeah,
too
the
often.
only Starbucks I saw was in the Lisbon airport. I don't remember seeing another Starbucks.
And I think they just served Starbucks coffee.
Yeah,
or something
they only
like that.
had the kind of plain coffee too. I don't recall seeing much American fast food over there, which was kind of nice, to not have that in your face all the time. And it forces you a little bit out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I mean, in this, and we didn't even mention all of the wine.
Oh, right.
And the wineries, the like Casal Saint Maria that we went to outside of Sintra and so many just incredible. I mean, Porto, birthplace of port,
Right.
all of these. And of course, the wineries and vineyards that are outside Porto, which if you're there for more of a food and wine experience, there you go. I mean, just leave the belt at home. You're not going to need it.
Put on your stretchy pants.
Put on the stretchy, your eating pants, as Joey from Friends would say. Put on your eating pants and really just, knuckle down, man, because you're going to have a good time.
I'm not a big fan of seafood, but you like
Mm-hmm.
it. You did eat octopus at a few different places that we went.
Yeah.
And you kept wanting me to take pictures of you eating it because I think you had just come from another trip where you were eating octopus. It was not in Europe. It was somewhere in the US, and you said it wasn't that good, but it was so good in Portugal. You kept ordering it.
It was so fantastic. And you don't eat a whole lot of seafood, like you just said. Our daughter, unfortunately, is allergic to shellfish and stuff. So like, and our son doesn't really eat it either. So like growing up, my life with you guys is no seafood. So I take advantage whenever I do get to be around seafood to kind of just get, work that out of my system a little bit.
Well, I think you thoroughly enjoyed Portugal.
There you go.
Talk now.
Porto.
But I definitely see us going back.
Everyone should visit at least once. I recommend at least 5 times. Okay. Explore some of those Western coastal towns, any coastal towns in Portugal, honestly. This is the Unscaled Travel Show. We will see you guys next time.